What's up, everybody? Jack Farr here on behalf of Box to Box Football. We're doing a B2B podcast right now. I think we're going to try and get some continuity and some, consistency. Maybe we'll do like a different intro and maybe have a format which you can kind of set your watch to. But obviously, it all depends on, James could be coaching, James could be doing another thing, I could be doing one thing, I could be somewhere else. I'm in the process of moving house actually, so it's all kicking off. The Euros is going on. There's the NBA Finals is happening. So we're trying our best here, guys, with our limited editing and media and videography skills. But James, how's it going, mate?
Good. I like that name, B2B Football Podcast. That goes. Listen, I'm feeling that. But yeah, Jack, just relaxing, just recovering from the madness that we saw yesterday overall, and also going live, interacting with everyone and just getting everyone's opinion on it. That was great. But now we can properly do a proper deep dive into just what happened in the knockout stage, especially.
Right. I think, and you that's a nice little segue actually. James and I did want to just extend a huge thank you to a bunch of names that keep popping up, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. It's nice to see a familiar face pop up in the chat and in the discussion, build some relationships. Obviously, I think the OG who we can kind of set our watch to is Mr. Sammy #Perez out. But we got some other guys. Nice to see Silver Surfer and a couple of you other guys. It's really nice to have some names to kind of really build a community. And it's great to see you guys coming in and interacting with us and having some great conversations. And James and I really appreciate it in a big way.
And the one thing I'm going to say, it's not like these guys are fans or hardcore. No. This is a football community.
Right.
People just having their opinions of like the game. No one's bigger than anyone here. We're not bigger than them. They're just a part of this amazing football community that we're trying to build.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I was thinking I'm going to try and act a bit professional here, and I'm going to give a little bit of a rundown. So for guys listening, for guys watching, we're going to touch on the no away goals rule now in the Champions League going forward, which I think is a huge talking point, especially a lot of historical significance as well. The amount of games that or results that would have been unbelievably different if that rule did not exist. I can think of some Arsenal examples, some Roma examples too. Trust me. We're going to touch on a couple of the big transfers. Anybody who's watched me for a little while now knows that my kind of real passion in life and the thing that I want to do for a career is work within transfers and squad generation. So the transfer market is always fascinating to me, and James and I will reflect on a couple of bits and bobs in terms of the latest news. We're going to just have a quick few minutes to just discuss, Cristiano Ronaldo and his equaling and beating of all these records. And you'd imagine, even though the next game is against Belgium, you're not going to put it past him to try and break the record in a big game of that nature. And then as kind of the climax of the podcast here, we're going to have a bit of a Euro 2020 discussion, and then we're going to reignite the flame of Jack versus James in our predictions for the 8 games, the first round of the knockouts. And I was thinking, I don't know if there should be an award for who wins or a punishment for who loses. Maybe that's something we can figure out later.
If you guys want to see it, we'll
let us know.
Do it,
Yeah.
If you want to see it, we'll definitely do a forfeit.
But James, first of all, and just to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit here for everybody watching. So James kind of comes into this Zoom call that we're on, and he goes, "Jack, we need to talk about the no away goals rule because that's a really big deal." What's your immediate reaction? What do you think this means for European football going forward? Do you like the fact that it's come in, or what's your kind of initial takeaway?
At first, when I first saw it, just going through Twitter, I was like, when I seen it on like one post, I was like, oh no, it's probably fake. And then 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, okay, this is real. I felt weird. I felt like they're kind of taking football away from me because that's what I grew up knowing. The away goals rule, and how important it is, and how it affects a two-legged affair. Almost like when I think of a two-legged affair, I always think of the away goals rule. No matter what, the away goals rule is like the prominent part of it. But when I took an hour, I went for a nap, I relaxed, and when I really think about it and hear it out, I can understand why it's gone.
Right.
The thing about the away goals rule, the thing that gets me the most is, let's say after 90 minutes, when the game finishes 0-0, for instance, and when a game is like level and goes into extra time, it still counts is that the team who is away, if they score an away goal, that counts as a double. And that's unfair because they both played 90 minutes the exact same way. Now the away team have an extra 30 minutes to get that away goal. While you may say the home team have home advantage, it still doesn't weigh up because I would rather have an away goal chance than like home advantage in that situation. And also when you think about ties, with the away goals rule, technically not always the best team goes through. You know? Like when you think of some of the most amazing ties and you think about the underdog going through, it's usually true in a way
Roma,
goal. And yes,
Barcelona.
listen, don't Roma Barcelona, but think that listen, that's not a bad thing. Because I felt over 90 minutes, 180 minutes, Roma were the best team and it worked out there, but the majority of the time there is an imbalance there. And like the way, especially what's going on nowadays with teams not having fans, the away goal rule is kind of like not needed because where is the advantage? Yes, you are in your recognized home, but you don't have your 60 to 70,000 fans screaming your name again. And I think especially in the last 2 years with the COVID thing, we've seen more away wins in the Premier League and also other leagues than ever before. So I can understand why it's going. Arsene Wenger, who seems to, when he says something, it just seems to happen. In the upcoming years, he talked about how they're going to try and do a European Super League. They tried it. He mentioned how UEFA should get rid of the away goals rule. They're now doing that. Wenger is just ahead of time. But again, when I think about it now, I'm not totally against it. Yeah,
I think it's tricky, in all honesty, and I don't really have an opinion on it either way because the thing is, it's a blanket rule that affects every team. So I'm not like, oh, it's so ridiculous because of this. It's like, well, if one team benefits from it, then there will be another team that benefits from it along the line. And if there's a team that suffers from it, there will also be another team that suffers. It all kind of law of averages. It all kind of evens out. I think what my main takeaway is, not all home advantages are created equal. And I think that you've got to look at Anfield, right, on a big stage, a semi-final or whatever, and you need to da-da-da. That's when I can say, you know what, the away team, this is a hard atmosphere to play in. I think they really kind of deserve an advantage here. But then there are some teams that maybe play in Central Europe who don't have as an extreme or as intimidating a fan base where I go, is the away team really deserving of kind of an extra kind of bonus kind of goal here for scoring? This environment seems more kind of neutral, so I think it's something. And obviously one thing we can't do, James, is start picking and choosing where the away goal rule is going to impact based on a team's home advantage. Like, it's never going to happen. So it does need to be kind of a blanket statement. And the one thing I'll say is it's going to definitely change the way that games are approached. How many times do we see a team going in and going, hey, if we lose 2-1 and they're the away team, they go, we got that away goal, we're good, we can just win the next one 1-0. I think this is going to create a much better and potentially much more competitive format where it's like, look, whether it's here or whether it's our place, we need to beat this team. Because I think what's going to happen much, much more, James, and this is, I think, the main takeaway that's going to be interesting. And I wonder if I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think UEFA have done this purely so there's more extra time and more penalties, more drama?
That was thing that came in. That's something that came into my mind. I thought about it. When was the last time we seen a penalty shootout? In the Champions League? What was there one this season? I'm pretty sure, like after Real Madrid won in the final of 2016, we won like 3-4 years without seeing a penalty shootout. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, it's even more dramatic and like it just creates a bit more of a spectacle So I can understand
Games as
why
well,
in that situation.
And I hate to say this, it's more times for Heineken and Coca-Cola and all these brands, right, to have their logo on the screen when they're watching it. It's more time for the broadcasters. They're offering a more appealing product to the broadcasters. We know that with the revamp of UEFA, they're trying to add more games to the competition so that, again, they can generate more money. So it does make sense to me. I think in a purely footballing sense, I'm not against it. I would never have been pushing for it, but I'm not against it.
Also, I feel like it gives this NBA feel like teams will now go, okay, we're home today. Let's protect our home court.
Right.
Let's make sure that we don't lose today. Forget about not conceding and like an away goal. We want to go in here and let's say we want to win a 1-0. Like they're like we want to win a 2-0. And then like it gives them the bit of cushion of if they do concede a goal right now and let's say they win 2-1, they don't have to worry about the backlash of or like that double jeopardy for the opposition. So it gives both teams a bit of an advantage and like it stops that because when you really think about it, the away goal rule, it's such an advantage for the away team. It really swings
massively.
Like the way of the away team. Now it's almost like a neutral point of view to like, okay, your best guns against our best guns. No shenanigans in between. We're gonna see who is the best. And I sort of like it now. Let's see how it plays out. We might lose the extra bit of excitement. Let's say in certain situations that a team gets an equalizer and like they now have an away goal instead of the opposition running over the other end to like chase to chase the goal to get it back. You might see the opposition be like, okay, we'll settle for extra time now. Everyone just relax. So it's not going to be as thrilling as it was before, but it's now a bit more balanced.
It also, I think, the more and more subs that are being used, I think we will see extra time to be more exciting. James, especially at neutral venues, I love golden goal. I know, that's kind of a Wembley doubles thing in the park, but especially in a final at a neutral event, those kind of things, that's what I want to see.
But Jack, do you not hate the fact? Okay, let's say they could be. Let's say it goes into extra time, and a goal goes in the first 2 minutes. 28 minutes left. Like you want to enjoy watching football is now gone.
But I think it's still considered a bonus. You've already had 90 minutes, and the drama of scoring in 2 minutes of golden goal, and then obviously after that half an hour of golden goal, you go to penalties. Sure, but I mean, and that would obviously need to be at a neutral venue. We can't have home or away teams doing that. The final thing, and then we'll kind of move on here. Some teams are better away from home than at home. It's weird. It's not very many teams, but some are. And the away goal rule for those teams that are better away from home, there's a huge, huge advantage there. And obviously, yes, nothing changes. The pitches are still the same size and you're still playing the same sport with the same rules, all that kind of stuff. But I think it being abolished, it does just kind of offer a little bit more of an equalizer. But I think that we can cynically see some of the reasons why UEFA and obviously by extension FIFA have supported this. So trying to transition a little bit into some transfers now. So we'll start with the big names first. Now it's being widely reported that Leo Messi is going to sign a new contract at Barcelona till 2023. And within that contract, there's a huge pay cut. There's an ambassadorial role that he's going to start taking on. And there's a commitment that he will then
How many years, Jack? What is the way? Is it going to be a 3-year deal? So at the age of
2 years. I think it's till 2023 at Barcelona.
And that will take Messi to what age? 36?
What age is he now? 33?
He's not 33, 34.
I want to say he's 33. I can just check. But
I'm pretty sure it's Messi's birthday today. I'm pretty sure he is 33.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, he's 34 today.
Yeah.
So it'll take him till when he's 36. And then supposedly he has a move to Inter Miami lined up and a role as an ambassador for Barcelona. Now, all that may be true, and we can believe that reporting and all this kind of stuff. But as it remains, as we sit here, the end of the month, his contract expires, and we have not heard anything of an announcement of new contract. So Initial thoughts. I mean, I think you and I both think he's going to stay. I would be absolutely blown away if Leo Messi is a free agent after the end of this month. And the thing is, James, even if he is a free agent, he's probably just going to re-sign with Barcelona anyway. I do think this will get figured out, prior to August, and then we'll see him playing for Barcelona again.
I feel like Messi should do like a WWE type style thing where like he becomes a free agent, like basically what CM Punk does, and like just goes to different teams, and just have he's just seen in a corner talking to Pep Guardiola, and just seeing over there talking to Oli, and going over there to talking to Mauricio Pochettino, just to kind of make everything
demanding Laporta to have some Barcelona ice cream bars.
And then like you have everyone gathered up at the table, and they're all like, Messi signed the contract, and then he power bombs everyone through the table, and then just signs the Barcelona contract. Some WWE funny storyline there. But what makes me believe that he's going to sign is the lack of links and speculation about it.
Right.
It only dawned on us today that Messi has 6 days left on his contract. So if Lionel Messi has 6 days left on his contract, do you not feel like you'll be hearing speculation here, there about different teams? It feels like he's going to say, I feel like Juan Laporte has like came in and gave Messi that little lease of life, that bit of insurance that like he's always wanted. We know he loves Barcelona. We know he is Barcelona. I think it will hurt Barcelona to see, and I think it also hurt Messi to see himself in a different jersey.
For sure.
I'm pretty sure like he wants to do more for Barcelona. I don't really want to see him wear another trophy, another shirt, and it would be cool to see Messi in the Premier League, but Messi retiring at Barcelona should always be a good thing, and I'm happy that he signed after all that speculation. I'm happy when I really think about it. Like La Liga is the one thing left for them to hold on to is Lionel Messi of that era. And
my only desire from this whole situation was that he stayed in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Honestly, that was it. Like,
but Jack, he was never going to go back to
no. But I'm not even saying that. I'm saying he could have chased the money in Russia or in China or in the US or something like that. But as long as he stays in the top 5 European leagues, I'm happy. And the fact it's at Barcelona, fine. Couldn't really concern me. It's just great to have him playing in Champions Leagues and in El Clásicos in the future, that kind of thing. So kind of moving on a little further. We actually, when BBC report it, now one thing we do know is that when BBC report something, there's some serious weight to it, because they really have to kind of stamp their foot and say, yeah, no, trust me, this is true. A bid of, I believe it was 73.4 million pounds for Jadon Sancho from Manchester United was submitted. Supposedly it will be declined, but then I believe within kind of a £5 million range that deal is going to be confirmed pretty soon.
So how much is exactly are they willing to accept? 70 what?
I believe it's just under 80 million pounds. So I think it's getting up to like the 90 million euro. It's not going to shock me if it's like 85, 86 million pounds. But James, Jadon Sancho to Manchester United. We've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but kind of initial thoughts.
Well done, man. United, because last year we spoke about him going for 120. Right. It was this crazy range, and for them to wait a year and then get him for 77 or 80 million, like as you said, that's good business from Manchester United's side. I think in a situation here where you really think about it, Borussia Dortmund can't really lose because they're still getting a whole lot of money for like a very talented player. But if you're Man United at this moment of time, I feel like it's a player that isn't crazy necessary, because I do feel like there's other areas that they need to look at, especially center midfield and like center back. But to bring in Sancho after all that speculation, after all this long saga, it just shows you like if Manchester United press enough, they're gonna get their man, and like to get their man in a way, when you look at it, in a bargain compared to what they were gonna pay. Like like it's like a 30 million pound drop off. That's huge, man. United.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some other names in here just so that we can cover some more topics and just open up the conversation. The Transfer Window podcast with Ian McGarry and Duncan Castles talked about how it's one elite striker or one elite winger, not both. And I think they're kind of under the impression that it won't be Kane, it won't be Haaland or anybody like that. It's going to be Sancho. But then the interesting conversation is when it opens up with regards to Paul Pogba. Because remember, James, this is the final summer before Paul Pogba leaves on a free next summer. And the latest rumor, is that obviously Juventus and Max Allegri and Cristiano Ronaldo, that is not kind of the dream there. And that if they can do some sort of financial fair play, manipulation, and Manchester United sign Cristiano Ronaldo, Juventus sign Paul Pogba, and it's just a way that potentially they can make Mino Raiola happy, they can make Pogba happy, they can make Ronaldo happy, etc., etc. What's your kind of, because I think what we know about the transfer market nowadays is it's a very much kind of domino effect market. Very rarely now does one thing happen without 100 other things happening. So talking about Kane, talking about Pogba, talking about Ronaldo, where do you see, talking about Mbappe, talking about Haaland, where do you see this all kind of finishing?
I feel like it's weird because I don't trust Mino Raiola, especially his deals with Man United. But I just feel like Paul Pogba kind of wants to stay at Man United now. I think the Juventus thing is so far-fetched, it's never going to happen.
Right.
They don't have the money to pay for Paul Pogba. I don't think Manchester United are going to willing to do
but James, this. Just quickly, I think the point is that if you get Cristiano Ronaldo off your books, which remember, he earns more than 13 of the other teams in the league do. The moment you kind of get Cristiano Ronaldo off your books, you're then, anything is a bonus from there, and you actually can afford, so financially, James, having Pogba and not having Ronaldo is way better for their financial situation than having Ronaldo and not having Pogba. Do you see what I mean?
I also look at the midfield of Juventus, and it's quite stacked already, 100%. And then they're gonna have to get rid of players, and they also want to bring in Lopetegui, who I think is probably going to happen for 30 million euros, and now you want to bring in a Paul Pogba at the same time, who is quite similar to him. I just I feel like the Juventus thing for Paul Pogba, especially, like, he already been to Juventus. He's won 4 Scudettos there, won numerous amount of cups there, had amazing success there. He's past that, he's done that. The best option for him right now is rather stays in Man United or goes on to Real Madrid. I don't think the Madrid stuff is going to happen at this moment of time.
Yeah,
I believe the best option is to stay at arguably the most famous club in the world, Man United, and keep that legacy going and show everyone that you're the player that you claim to be. And also, my biggest thing with Paul Pogba is that if he does sign this deal, he needs to speak to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and say to him, "This is the role that I want. You see me playing for France, no matter what game, no matter how big the game is, I'm playing in the center of midfield. Home, away, no matter what, I'm playing in center of midfield." He needs to tell Ollie, play me in my position. Not away to Arsenal or not away at Anfield. I still want to play as a center mid. I can do the job. Yeah. For me, that's the biggest thing.
I feel like it's actually quite a delicate situation, because you have to keep in mind, with a year left, I think Pogba can look at it and go, another year at Manchester United, another year in a Champions League. If we get somebody like a Sancho, if we get a centre-back, maybe we can make a run at the Premier League. Then kind of getting myself ready over the next summer to move to a different club, and then the World Cup's at the end of that year. So I think that if he starts kind of making demands somewhat, I think that may not particularly go the way he wants. But in the exact same way, James, if Solskjaer isn't sensitive to what Pogba wants, and then he decides to run out his deal, then Manchester United paid £90 million for a player, and they're going to lose him kind of really in his prime years, you'd say, for free the next summer, and that's not good business either.
I look at this Man United team and I say that this team is on the cusp.
Right.
I think out of all the time for Paul Pogba to leave Manchester United, this is the worst time, where They got Champions League football again. They've got back to now being a consistent Champions League team. They're like a top 4 regular team now. Now it's about challenging. And why would he leave when they're so close with a few more signings to really compete with Man City? Not only compete with Man City, but being a threat in the Champions League at the same time. Why would he want to join Real Madrid where, yes, it is Real Madrid, and it's always going to be glitz and glamour on that side. But Real Madrid are still rebuilding. You know, they're on this weird, like, slow rebuild where like they should let the old guard go, but they're not fully letting them go. Kroos and Modric are still going to be in the middle next season.
The only other touching point on that is that obviously there are these Varane links to Manchester United. And again, it's just a way of massaging financial fair play. So it's a swap deal, but the players aren't involved in the same deal. It's 2 separate deals, and they massage the figures to make sure it's good for both parties, Manchester United and Real Madrid. So that would be the only other, like, you know, James, we saw it very blatantly with Juventus and Barcelona. You know, the Artur Melo and Miralem Pjanic swap. You know, you saw the figures in that. That wasn't because that's what the players were worth. That's because they needed to meet certain criteria with regards to financial fair play.
But also, if you're Man United, then you lose Paul Pogba, you're not going to have to bring in 2 midfielders, maybe maybe 3 max.
I don't know if we should talk about this now because I don't know how long we would talk about it for. You seem to have this kind of opinion of Manchester United midfield, which I don't particularly follow or subscribe to, because I look at, you know, and don't get me wrong, I know these aren't creme de la creme of names here, but I do look at Fred, who I think is solid, McTominay, who has some upside. I look at Donny van de Beek, who, if Pogba goes, is going to have way more of an opportunity. And then you look at somebody like Bruno Fernandes, who's kind of the star of the team. And then obviously you've got that kid who they brought in at the end of last year, Hannibal Mejbri as well. So I think in central midfield, and Matic is still there, lest we forget. So I think they're actually not in a bad spot in central midfield.
I think the central midfield is Man United's weakest spot, in my opinion. Just go watch that your Europa League final and watch it when teams really park the bus against them and really sit men behind the ball. Do they have the ability to break them down, especially with Fred, especially with McTominay? They don't have the eye for the pass. They don't have like that ability to have the first thought is to look forward every single time. It's James, backwards, it's a sideways, it's the breaking up a play.
But let me ask
one of them.
Let me ask you though, if there's kind of a midfield 3, and one is Fernandes, one is Van der Beek, and one is McTominay.
Is it Van der Beek, because he doesn't play it at all?
But without Pogba, you'd imagine it would be. You know, is Van der Beek and Fernandes, is that not enough to break down an opposition with a Sancho, with a Rashford, with a Cavani?
Well, Jack, you tell me. You go back and watch Manchester United's performances last year. It clearly isn't.
No. But for next year, because you're saying 2 midfielders.
I definitely don't.
I don't think so.
I definitely don't think it's going to be enough. Donny van der Beek, I like him as a midfielder. Technically, he's superb. But the deep line role, to me, I don't think he's a deep line type player. I think he's that number 10 type that can really unlock a defense with a nice pass, and especially get into the area and scoring goals. Well, you need to be a bit more intricate when you're sitting.
Right.
You know, you need to have that Sergio Busquets, that Javi style, where your first thought is, can I throw that ball around the corner? Can I split that defense? Right. I don't think a bunch of them players have it. That's why when you talk to pundits, when you talk to people, the first thing that they always mention in football, can a team win that midfield battle?
Right.
And I feel on a number of occasions, Manchester United lose that midfield battle. From the point of view, physically, yes, they might win it, but quality-wise, on the ball, I don't think so. And they have failed on a number of occasions. And that Europa League final highlighted that at its apex. They don't have a Michael Carrick. They don't have a Paul Scholes who can really unlock a defense, get that ball moving, get Manchester United thick when they're on the ball. Paul Pogba can do that, but it's about giving him the trust in having the best partner next to him. But again, James, we can talk about that later.
That feels like a trimmed clip for TikTok, maybe a little later. What do you think?
Oh, we listen. Maybe.
So we'll move to a bit of a PSG doubleheader now before touching on Cristiano Ronaldo. Achraf Hakimi, Sergio Ramos, 2 new PSG players. Is that Is that the edge they need to get them over the line in the Champions League?
No.
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 And Donnarumma, excuse me, James, and Donnarumma.
Yeah.
Donnarumma,
Do you know what it is? Jack, I like it. But their edges to me, first of all, is to get Neymar and to sit him in a position where he's not taking up everything that goes on into the team. He's not having to he's not having to drop into midfield. I mean, drop into the defense and like receive the ball in that situation. Yes, you want your Neymar to be free, but I want Neymar to be supplied the ball in areas and Mbappe to be supplied the ball in areas where they can be killed. Hakim Fakimi, I like him. I like what he can do when he plays three at the back. I'm not too sure about him when he's just a fullback. Donnarumma, good goalkeeper. Is he better than Keylor Navas at this moment of time? You would say so. Okay, Jack. Yeah, I'm not gonna say because I know he's your boy.
Donnarumma.
Sergio Ramos. You know how I feel about Sergio Ramos. Great player, but to me, it's going forward. It's the question. I've seen Jack's favorite guy, Icardi, pull an absolute blunder against Man City. They need to sort out that striker situation there.
Yep.
A number 10, a type of deep line. Well, they have Verratti, but a type of creative force that they lack. Maybe like a Philippe Coutinho, someone flamboyant in the middle that can really get Neymar playing and not having to see Neymar all over the pitch. That's to me what they need.
I feel like that guy should be Di Maria.
Yeah, but Jack, Di Maria is a wide man to me.
I know
Di Maria
he
is one that needs to be supplied.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I think that Donnarumma is a huge upgrade at goalkeeper. Hakimi is a huge upgrade at right wing back, and then obviously you've got Ramos there in terms of a leadership, clutch factor, and a goal threat. I'm not saying that it's going to be enough and that PSG will win the Champions League next year, but I would say they're definitely going to be closer next year than they would have been this year in terms of their squad. I think they have made huge improvements, so that they're definitely more likely. James, final one. Ben White. Arsenal's savior defensively, or too much money, or where are we at with Ben White? Should have signed James. What you should have done is signed Fikayo Tomori for 25 million. That's what you should have done.
It feels like it's gonna happen. 50 million. I don't know what Arsenal are at. Do I think a centre back is exactly what we need? No, because defensively, I don't think that we were that bad. I feel like the one thing that I always want for my football team is, can we score goals? Because you can defend as much as you want. You can keep 38 clean sheets, but if you can't score at the other end, you're not going to do anything in a league. So my thing was to bolster the attack force, find a striker, find a winger, find an attacking midfielder. We're not doing that. We're spending 50 million on an unproven centre back who doesn't even start for England.
Right.
50 million pounds. That's a lot of money. Yeah, I do understand, like, it's the English premium and like, yeah, that's the biggest thing. But Jack, if someone told you that, Arsenal are going to sign Ben White for 50 million, are you like thinking, Arsenal are now going to challenge?
Well, I think the problem is, James, that the numbers flying around for Raphael Varane to join PSG or Manchester United at the moment are 45, 50 mil. Maybe even as low as 40 mil. So, again, I know that it's going to be hard for Arsenal to attract somebody like Raphael Varane, who is a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner, etc. And Arsenal can't offer that. But what I would say is that to not even try. If I'm any of the Arsenal guys making these decisions, I'm paying over the odds for Ramos. I'm paying over the odds for Varane, and Ben White would probably be my backup now. If Ben White stays at Arsenal for 10 years and you make some real progression, make it back into the top four and, start maybe trying to get to a stage where you can push with a Saka wing and a Pepe wing and, Thomas Partey starts playing well and you get a creative guy, then, you can, Kieran Tierney still there, you can see the upside long term, but short term, I've got to agree with you. It doesn't sound great, does it? Moving on to my GOAT.
Also, wait. If he turns into a Virgil van Dijk, amazing. Arsenal, I applaud you.
Right.
But 50 million doesn't get me like going crazy right now. Hopefully, he turns out to be a good defender.
And also, there's players to leave there, hopefully. And if some of you guys, I'm thinking like what Guendouzi, Torreira, Bellerin, these kind of names can go out the door. You can get some money. Then maybe there'll be more replacements coming in. Who
I'll
knows?
keep Guendouzi, but
yeah, me too. So moving on, we touched on this a little bit on our live. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night, wasn't it? Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, we're kind of struggling for things to say at this point, but breaking more records, tied all-time international goals in for a European team. No disrespect to Oceania and Asia and Africa and North America.
No. Oh, first of all, I'm not going to give all the European teams the benefit of the doubt. You have Robbie Keane and all these you are breaking records and that, but you got to play against Luxembourg and Azerbaijan and all these. So Jack, I'm not giving you all the credit with that because you guys have. I think it's harder to properly score goals and win in Europe and Africa, in South America and Africa, in African continents compared to what we have in England at times. Where in Europe, where the best of the best teams, and all they do in qualifiers just play against the absolute worst teams. Of course they're going to go through. Of course they're going to score as many goals.
But do you not think
Ronaldo's goals aren't fake?
Do you not think the worst quality in Europe is a lot better than the worst quality in Asia, Africa, Oceania?
Well, like Asian in like some African teams, yeah, but a lot of African teams I'll put ahead of what like Europe have to offer. Like yes, you have like the top of the top, but some of the teams, what's his San Marino, they have like 7 people in their country. and like you're giving credit to them. England plays San Marino, and like I'm going on to see what type of odds they're doing it. Like you get like a 2-1 on England to win 10-0.
But the thing is, I think what I mean is in terms of the actual competitions. I get what you mean by qualifiers, but in the actual competitions, I mean, we've seen it already this year. The group stage with France, with Germany, and even Hungary put up one hell of a fight. So it's just to give a nod to the fact that it's not been the easiest. It's not been the easiest country to play for to try and hit this goals tally. The environment in which Ronaldo has occupied himself. He was there kind of at the latter stages of Carvalho, Figo, Deco, and those kind of years. And obviously it's only now that Portugal are becoming much more of a force, and we're kind of slowly getting in here to somewhat of a golden generation of Portuguese players, especially with the likes of a Pedro Neto or somebody of that nature coming through, Renato Sanchez coming back. So thoughts on him just kind of breaking these records and being the man that he is, and what the rest of the Euros looks like for him potentially.
I wouldn't put it past him breaking it in this Euros, to be fair, because I didn't think he was going to equal it in this Euros, but he somehow does it. 3 games, 5 goals. But Jack, what can I say about Cristiano Ronaldo that hasn't really been said?
Right.
Like, every time Ronaldo steps on, first of all, France was the only team Ronaldo failed to score against. Was one of the few teams Ronaldo failed to score against, and he finally did with his 2 penalties. What can I say? Yeah, Ronaldo, every time he steps on the pitch right now, is getting closer and closer to me as the GOAT, the undisputed GOAT. Right. Because to me, it's Messi and Ronaldo, and I've always said Messi's the better player, but the point of view of GOAT in like career, I would want Ronaldo's career. Jack, Ronaldo's going to finish his footballing career with most goals ever for Real Madrid, the greatest football team ever. Yeah? He's gonna finish with most goals in the greatest club competition ever in the Champions League. Yeah? He's going to finish most goals in international football. What an accomplishment that is. And the biggest one ever? He's going to finish with the most goals in the history of football.
Right.
Yes, I will say it again. In the history of the football. Take it back to when it first started in 1990, in 1980 something, or like 90 whatever, like when it first started. Take it back to them 100 years ago. He scored the most goals ever recorded in the professional game.
Also, I think the other
What
thing
can
as
you say
well,
about that?
the other thing as well, James, is, and this is something that I think needs to be appreciated about both Messi and Ronaldo. I know this is a comment on Ronaldo, but you've got to throw Messi in there. You know, you can't not. You know, these guys really are wingers. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. Last 5 years or so of Ronaldo, we've seen a transition to the striker position. But historically, if you look at kind of players who have just scored a ridiculous amount of goals and their main thing has been scoring goals, they're usually number nines because that's what strikers are supposed to do. You know, historically, wingers are supposed to put the ball in or get assists for the strikers. But we've seen Ronaldo, we've seen Messi from these wide positions break these types of scoring records. Now, they're still forwards, but it's not as easy to do unless you are playing through the middle. You know, James, how many times do we see central strikers get goals that are just right place, right time? Or long shot, which the keeper then doesn't quite deal with properly, it drops to your feet and you finish. These are the kind of scrap goals that the likes of Messi and Ronaldo historically haven't really had the chance to score because they've been playing in these wider positions. I think that is what to me sums it up as incredible. Yeah, and I agree with you. Messi's the better football player. Let's not deny it. Messi's the most talented football player we've ever seen. But Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest of all time. And greatness is a mindset. It's, you know, it's achievements. It's everything.
Jack, the thing about the GOAT debate is that the GOAT debate is never, ever in stone. There is not a stat or whatever that shows that he is the greatest of all time. But, like, you know what Ronaldo can say? Let's look at the most goals. Let's look at the most prolific. Let's look at who's won the most. Look at what I've done.
Yeah.
And that just shows you that he's doing things that really has never been done in the game. And these are things already set in stone. The GOAT debate was never set in stone. But what he's done with his goals and whatever, his name will live in the history of football. And the crazy thing about Ronaldo, bring it back to Champions League. Ronaldo didn't score in the Champions League in like his first 3.5 seasons in it.
Unreal.
It took to the first when they played against Roma and like they won 7-1. That was his first ever Champions League goal, 2007. And like he joined Man United and played his first game around in 2003. So he went a 3 to 4 year span where he didn't score in the Champions League, and he's now the all-time leading goal scorer in the competition. How mad is that? It's first 25 games, no goals. Crazy.
Well, the guy's a freak show, and you know a thing. People listening, a thing that tickled me from the other day that I shared with James. The person who has scored the most goals in their career against Manuel Neuer, who will be regarded as one of the top 3, top 5 goalkeepers of all time, is Cristiano Ronaldo.
If not the greatest.
And he never played in the Bundesliga. Because obviously he never played in the Bundesliga. But whenever he got the opportunity to, on the rare occasion that Cristiano Ronaldo, whether at Manchester United, at Juventus, or at Real Madrid, that he has played Bayern Munich, he has put, I believe it's 10 goals now, or internationally, I believe he's put 10 goals now past Manuel Neuer, which is more than any other player in history, which is just another ridiculous achievement. But obviously we can talk all day and, you know, wax lyrical about Cristiano Ronaldo and his non-stop achievements, you know, just a laundry list of achievements, which at this point is becoming a bit of a joke. We may as well call the record book the Ronaldo book.
Basically.
But what...
like his records are records. He's breaking records to break records to break records.
Yeah, and also it's one of these things as well, guys watching at home, that, you know, you'd like to think a player going forward might come along and go, ooh, he might do it. You never know. It's really not going to be that way. And what I mean by that is the work and dedication, and also changing and adapting your game to continue your success and even get more success. You know, we've all seen the numbers. After Ronaldo has turned 30, he scored more goals per game than prior to the age of 30. It's unbelievable. Somebody like a Kylian Mbappe, you do start to think about, you know, this guy's never going to reach the levels of Ronaldo and of Messi. And I'm not going to try and doubt the guy, but you also have to think that when Mbappe's physical traits start to deteriorate, is he going to have the same will to change his game that Ronaldo has had to have the longevity? And I don't think he will. I'm not trying to make this about Mbappe. I'm just trying to give an example of people in the future trying to break the record.
Jack, even Mbappe said it himself. No one's ever going to reach this level. This is absurd what we're seeing. Now, you look at things that are possible to break. Will someone one day break Henry's Arsenal goal record? Yeah. Is someone one day going to get Alan Shearer's all-time leading goal score record? It's not out of the blue. Harry Kane can still get it.
Right.
But when Messi retires from La Liga and from Barcelona, his goals are not going to be gettable.
No.
You're not going to score 600-700 goals for Barcelona.
No.
You're not going to score 500 goals in La Liga. You're not going to get to his record. You're not going to get to Ronaldo's record at Real Madrid. Ronaldo scored 400 goals at Real Madrid. Who's going to have time to get 400 goals at Real Madrid at this moment of time, especially with success?
10 40 goal seasons.
and then that might not still be enough.
Right.
Which is absolutely crazy.
Injuries, all this stuff, James. All this.
I can wax lyricals about Messi and Ronaldo, and like the goal debate will go on and go on and go on and go on. I'm just happy to be alive while they're still playing.
Well, guys, moving to, for me, it's going to be a bit of a bittersweet kind of final topic of conversation here that we're going to do over the next 15, 20 minutes. We're going to do our predictions for the first round of knockout games, the last 16 in Euro 2020. And the beauty of this is actually one of the fixtures has James's predicted winners versus my predicted winners. So that's going to be kind of fun, and we'll get into that a little later on. The reason why I say it's bittersweet is because the first game I actually had tickets to go to with three of my friends in the Amsterdam Arena in Holland. Wales versus Denmark, not the most kind of pretty game, I guess you would say, not the most alluring game compared to some of these other ones. But James, in the Amsterdam Arena in Holland, Wales versus Denmark, who have you got? What's your score prediction?
To me, it's a tough one. Very, very tough one. Denmark are a team who showed so much resilience. What team did they play in the last game of the group stage? What team did they beat?
I should know. I can check.
I should know too. 1 second, guys.
Let's have a look.
So they beat Russia 4-1.
Russia, there you go.
They showed so much resilience, being the home team, to be able to come back, and especially with the type of things that they've gone through with their best player and their team, and like a teammate like Christian Eriksen going down, to have the mental strength to come back the way they did, not just win, but to smash their way through Russia. Incredible. But Wales in the Euros is just becoming this weird love affair that I just seem to love every single 4 years, Jack.
Yeah.
Last time they made to the semi-final, and maybe if Aaron Ramsey would have been fit, and I think Joe Ward, maybe they could have gone through to the final, but they have a similar team to what they had a few years ago, with a few new additions like a Daniel James, for instance, and in a tough group, Jack. Because when we were picking it, I think a couple people had Wales bottom of their group. For them to finish third and unbeaten,
quite something.
That is really, really impressive.
Yep.
And just the way that they are with the Euros, and especially the quality of Aaron Ramsey, the quality of Gareth Bale, who's still yet to score in this Euros. I just feel this will be a game where it might be a 1-0, and like we might get a moment of magic from one of their players, and I see Wales going through.
So what was your score there?
Let's go 2-1 Wales.
2-1 Wales. I'm just going to tell everybody now, I've been kind of clattering away. I was listening to you, James, but I'm just telling everybody that I have put my scores in, so there will be no copying of James here. And where we differ is obviously where we are going to gain or lose points on one another. Yeah, James, I agree with a lot of stuff that you said here. These are the two of the more emotionally invested, passionate teams for this tournament. Obviously, unfortunately, for Denmark, it's come through grief and through the kind of horrible scenes that we saw of Christian Eriksen and the football community coming together and supporting him. You know, I would be absolutely shocked if every single dressing room, locker room, team talk was not around, let's do this for Christian, let's do this for Christian. You know, he's been texting us, etc., etc. And I think that the football world is behind them and supporting them in that endeavour. But Wales, like you said, there's this weird love affair. And the one difference I think between the Wales and Denmark team, because I think they are quite similar in a lot of ways, there are stars in the Wales team. Not necessarily major stars like an Mbappe or any of these caliber of people, but Gareth Bale can still play and Aaron Ramsey can still play. And apart from that, they have a lot of other positions where the guys do their job, they're solid, they work hard, etc., etc. I think might be in terms of a neutral. This might be the most fun game to watch. I've actually got it going 3-2, but I do think that Wales will win. I think we'll see an inspired Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey performance there. So James and I both agree there. We think it will be a Wales Denmark. And guys at home watching, if you'd like to play along, you can drop your own score predictions in the comments. You get a point for the correct result, and if you get the correct score, you get an extra point as well. So James, moving on, kind of a one-sided one, I would say here. We have Italy versus Austria. I just want to check where the game is actually being played, but who do you have winning this one? And tell me why it's Italy.
I said Wales didn't lose the game. Yes, they actually didn't lose the game to Italy, who've been, if you're going on the team most impressed with so far, it has to be they've done.
Just to say, James, not to cut you off there, this game is actually being played at Wembley Stadium.
Okay, that's a bit of a change. Italy are not a home for once, but again, Austria don't really give me a lot of like a lot of excitement. Nothing there that really gets me going. Like, yeah, they have like David Alaba, and they have who's the former West Ham winger, Arnautovic.
Yep.
Yes, they one or two good players, but Italy are just too strong for them. I see it just being like a 3-0. Italy, they haven't conceded yet.
Okay, well, unfortunately, guys, I'd love to say that I had a different score, but I've also written in 3-0. Italy are the far better team, playing well together. And again, what I do like about this Italy team is there are some very, very good players in there. Some kind of elite level players across the board, but they don't have that star man. And yeah, okay, we can argue about Chiellini and we can argue about Immobile and Verratti and these kinds of players, but I don't think any of them you're like, oh, they are undoubtedly the best in the world at their position, superstar type players. And I think what that lends itself to for Italy is a real team effort. And Roberto Mancini has these guys playing properly. I think Italy historically, over the last 5 years have felt a little disrespected, missing out on the World Cup and such, and they are back with a vengeance. I will still say the reason why I'm going to kind of chill my expectations a little bit is this game and the group stage games, they still will not have been tested properly. And we haven't seen them be tested properly. We don't know how they'll react to that. But yeah, at Wembley Stadium, I've got that as 3-0 as well. Another game where you'd think there is a clear favourite, James, we've got Holland versus the Czech Republic, and that is in Hungary at the Puskás Arena. What do you think of that one?
So they're going to have full capacity for that, but of course it's going to be a bunch of neutral fans there, to be fair.
Excuse me.
Again, the Czech showed you against England that they're a team that people need to be worried about. They got some Souček there, who's the striker. I'm terrible when I'm forgetting names. Who's the Czech striker again?
Oh, Patrick Schick?
Yeah. Patrick Schick. They have some good players there, and probably they should have scored it against England. If they were a bit more ruthless, they definitely would have got that equalizer. But against Holland, I'm gonna go for Holland in this situation. Netherlands, they haven't been outstanding, but they show me bits of like if you're in England who they might bump into at a time, be worried. I hear this weird thing about people not rating Gini Wijnaldum. Why? What is wrong with the quality of Gini Wijnaldum? There's a reason why PSG and Barcelona are such a big fan of him. You have Memphis Depay, where he hasn't been spectacular yet, but it showed glimpses of his brilliance.
Right.
Frankie de Jong, he's been excellent.
Unreal. Unreal.
If Virgil van Dijk was there, this whole thing is a completely different ball game. But for that reason of them not being so defensively sure, I still see them going through in a 3-1 victory.
Guys, James and I spend too much time together. I've also got this as 3-1. Yeah, Virgil van Dijk, that one goes to a 0. You'll be shocked to hear. But yeah, you've got an absolutely devastating forward who I think is really now embracing that kind of, he can play out wide, but he can, that man can lead the line in Memphis Depay. Yeah, Gini Wijnaldum. Yeah, there's nothing flashy about him. We don't see any kind of tricks and flicks like a Paul Pogba or anything, cute and crazy like some kind of mad number 10 might be able to do. But Paulo Dybala, Gini Wijnaldum does everything that you would need a player of his quality to do. He's also a hard worker, and the most underrated thing about Wijnaldum, he's an intelligent footballer. He assesses danger, and he also knows how to attack opposition teams. Pair that with Frenkie de Jong, who we know will probably end up being a Barcelona legend for the end of his career there, of how brilliant and talented he is. And yeah, you've still got somebody like a Matthijs de Ligt back there as well. So I just think that they are a little bit suspect defensively, and I just think that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a penalty, maybe a free kick or a corner, I do think Czech Republic might snag one goal. So James, I've got to agree with you, 3-1.
And if teams are looking for a right back right now, PSV's Maurice de Vrij.
Dumfries as well, yeah.
I mean, Dumfries is a player that a lot of teams should be looking at. Arsenal are looking for a right back at this moment of time.
There's your guy.
He's 25 years of age, and Jack, what he's shown so far, and especially his ability to get in the box and be an offensive threat, I'm looking at why not take a chance on him. Seriously, for what he's done in this Euro so far, you could probably say best full. He played as wing back, but best fullback wing back so far in this competition.
He's definitely been very impressive. So, guys, now we have the main event. It's two heavyweights. It's James versus Jack. It's Belgium versus Portugal. I've got my score locked in. James, how do you see this one going? I'm just going to try and find out where this one is being played as I drag out time here. It's at the Estadio de la Cartuja, which is Sevilla. Yes, it's at the Seville Stadium. James, thoughts on Belgium versus Portugal?
The one thing I don't want this game to do is to be dragged out into extra time. Because if it does get dragged into extra time, then Belgium are in trouble. Because I don't know, there's something about this Portuguese. There's something slimy about this Portuguese team that when it gets to that crunch time, they have them type of players. And then Rui Patricio on goal, I think he's quite decent.
Best goalkeeper of the tournament so far, not unreal. Especially the game yesterday. Oh my god.
Yeah, the Paul Pogba save was a bit overrated, but yeah, again, I picked Belgium to win this whole competition last year when it didn't happen. And I had them from this year. Defensively isn't the most strongest thing we've seen. They still have players back from 2010. The only thing that they're missing is literally Vincent Kompany. Is literally the same back four. Thomas Vermaelen is still playing. Thomas Vermaelen, I thought he started playing football at 2010 when he joined Arsenal. But the quality of this Belgium team, to me, it's too much going forward. Yes, the depth of the team isn't that great. When you look at the bench, but you look at what they have: Lukaku, De Bruyne. If Hazard is Hazard, find me a better front three than them in the whole of this competition. You just can't. I have Belgium going through 2-1.
So I'm going to flip the script. I've got Portugal going through 2-1. And James used a lot of the right words there. Slimy, yeah, undeserving, all these kind of things. But unfortunately, Fernando Santos is no mug. Cristiano Ronaldo is a killer. And this Portugal team will hang around and hang around and hang around. And then when you need a deflected goal or a penalty or some moment of magic where Ronaldo jumps 10 feet in the air and heads it across goal, it's going to happen. And that's what happens with this Portugal team. They are by no means the best team and going to blow teams out and play this kind of exciting brand of football. But they have really good holding midfielders. They've got an intelligent coach and unbelievably strong attacking players and players to bring off the bench who can make a huge, huge difference. So, yeah, I do have Portugal beating Belgium 2-1. It's just a case of trying to stop Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku. Now, you guys, I'm sure, will not be surprised to hear that that's not easy to do. That doesn't happen all that often. And these two, I think Kevin De Bruyne is quite clearly the best midfielder in the world today. And Romelu Lukaku on any given day is the best striker in the world as well. So stopping those two will be very, very difficult. But for me, unfortunately, tale as old as time. Cristiano Ronaldo, some way, somehow, he's going to break the record against Belgium, and he's going to sneak his way through against Belgium in the Euros. So I've got Portugal winning that 2-1. Obviously, James and I will have our eyes keenly looking on at that one. James, unfortunately, a little bit of a step down in terms of a quality of matchup. Croatia versus Spain. Who have you got here? Why? And what score have you got?
2 years ago, this would have been a spectacle.
Right.
This Croatian team again, not the old Croatian team, the like we remember, players like Mandzukic and Rakitic ain't there. They've lost a lot of players, but they still have quality players like Modric.
This is in Denmark, James. This has been played in Denmark.
This is in Denmark. This is quite a leggy Croatian team, but they still have the quality. But the one thing I see from this game is it going into extra time. Spain with the pass and then their ability to really board teams. Against Sweden, they complete the most passes ever in one European Championship game. They're not the most clinical team. Yes, they did win 5-0 the other day, but and I know you've seen the first goal and how it happened. That absolute howler. They're going to struggle to score goals back. To see them wearing this team out, it being 1-1 in extra time, and then Spain getting one late goal from just wearing out this Croatian team, and Spain winning 2-1 in extra time.
So 2-1 to Spain for James. I'm not going to put extra time because if you give a specific score, I'll give you full time and extra time. I'm not going to take that away from you. Don't worry.
2-1.
I've also got Spain going through, but I've got Spain going through on penalties.
That's what I was going to say, but I feel like if it goes penalties, I think Croatia will have it because Spain don't have. I don't know about Alvaro Morata stepping up and taking a penalty. Yes, I get it. Listen, they got some technically sick players, but penalties are just a different ball game, Jack.
They are. That's true. I'm not going to deny. Also, did we? Yeah, no. You're absolutely. I'm just trying to think. You're right. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling a lot less confident on my prediction now, but I'm gonna stick with it because I've written it down. I've also got Spain going through, but I've got them going through on penalties. Yeah, I think that this Croatia team are going to be hard to beat. And I'll also tell you guys, look, realistically, I think that this Croatia team, if they want to, will be able to keep the ball. Not for large parts of the game. I do think Spain will have the majority of the possession, but I don't know if it's going to be any more than 60%. Usually we see Spain in kind of the high 60s. I think with that extra 8-10%, with the, we saw the quality of Modric. That goal, roll back the years for Modric and that one, unbelievable. You've still got...
He's probably the best with the outside of his foot and probably in the history of the game. That he just has it on lock.
And you've got still somebody like an Ivan Perisic who can still be dangerous. The defense is somewhat solid, so I just think this may be a bit of a frustrating game to watch. But yeah, something like a 1-1, even a 0-0, and then Spain to go through on penalties. However, a lot of the things James said there did just scare me a little bit. And I would not put money on that game. All my bettors out there, do not bet on that game.
Do not.
Moving on to the current world champions, James, we have France against Switzerland. How many goals do you have France winning by?
Jack said it, like France is probably the most arrogant favourites you've ever seen.
Game is being played in Romania.
I don't feel like times that they're trying and they're really taking this competition that seriously. I just don't know because the talent is so much there. It's ridiculous. And like when they do flick the switch, they can do amazing things. I'm still waiting for them to do that. Haven't been convincing in all 3 games so far, but Switzerland, they're not going to trouble France that much. Yeah, they might get a goal. They might scare them a little bit, but France probably winning 4-1. 3-1. Let's go France. Let's go France 3-1.
3-1. Yeah, I've got France 3-0. I just think that, as much as I do think France can be a little bit suspect defensively, Switzerland just do not have enough. And especially when you've got that man, N'Golo Kante, playing in front of you, I just think that there's not going to be a lot of a chance for Switzerland to do anything here. The one goal that James has got Switzerland going, I'm not going to rule out a nice little fullback cross into somebody like a Haris Seferovic or something like that, or Shaqiri pulling something out of his arse, or a Granit Xhaka banger that deflects off somebody and goes in. Who knows? I've got France winning that one 3-0. Okay, so moving on to a sad one now, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I mentioned this as a bittersweet prediction.
Wait, Jack. Do you want to just go Sweden?
And do Germany first? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Sweden, Ukraine. Again, I have Sweden going through.
So you've got Sweden going through. So that's at Hampden Park, Sweden, Ukraine. James, what's your score, and why have you got that score?
Let's go 2-0 Sweden. I look at this Sweden team, because Jack, you must understand, like, they finished top of it. Wait, I don't know. We must talk a lot for us to be getting really the same scores.
I wish I could show you here. I wish I could show you, honestly. Like, I had 2-0 down, so like it's just frustrating.
But again, this Sweden team is not to be taken lightly.
Right.
They've shown in a group that has Spain, Poland. They finished top of the group with 7 points. The Spain game was a little bit fortunate, but they have quality in so many areas. And a player like Zlatan going down, you would have thought I'm not sure if they have a chance, but the quality's there. And Alexander, like Isak, who's a player to me that will go on to be a star with the ability he has.
Kulusevski, James.
Kulusevski, you know what he's done. This team is a very scary team. That compared to the team England played 2 years ago in World Cup quarterfinal.
Yep.
This is a totally different team and a much better team with a lot more flamboyant and a lot more attack of ounce to them. So I have them going through there, and if we'll leave that not in the next game, but definitely they're going to be a threat.
Guys, I got Sweden 2-0 as well. I just think that it will be a little bit of quality from an Emil Forsberg, a Kulusevski, an Alexander Isak. There's a decent defence there. Robin Olsen, for his country, has looked somewhat competent as well. And we know that, generally speaking, these kind of Central European, Northern European teams are going to be good on the ball. They are going to be disciplined. They're going to have decent stamina, all these things. I know I'm kind of stereotyping footballers from certain countries, but a lot of these themes do ring true across football. South Americans don't play like Europeans, and there's a reason for that. I've got that 2-0 too. And obviously we're moving on to the main event, or at least the main event for me. I don't know how hardcore of an England fan James is at the moment.
Come on, England, it's coming on. Roy, go for a point with the lads.
I'm gonna have to clip that. But yeah, guys, I talked about bittersweet from the predictions, and this one is the really bitter one. Me and three friends, we got tickets to two last 16 games. One of them was in Amsterdam, and trust me, I was going to enjoy my time in Amsterdam. One of them was going to be with Wales versus Denmark. That was going to be kind of a big one. And then after that as well, Wembley Stadium, England versus Germany. Absolutely killer that we're going to be missing out on that. Unfortunately, whether it was the, change of the venue, or whether the fact that you had to isolate for 10 days or something of that nature, it did just kind of ruin it. But James, England versus Germany, are England going out on penalties, or what's going to happen?
Okay. This is how I was going to do it. First of all, these are the type of fixtures that I live for. Historic fixtures. Argentina, Brazil, Holland, Holland, Germany. Just classic fixtures that, going back over the years, are just giving us moments upon moments upon moments. And this fixture is giving us amazing moments. But if you're English, on the other hand, you haven't enjoyed it in the last 30, 40 years. The Germans always seem to get it right, especially against England. But Jack, I have a weird feeling that England are going to do this. I have a weird feeling that England are going to make I'm going to make it happen. Now, I want it to be like as crazy as possible, Jack, and say, you know what? England are going to win, but England are going to win on penalties. In fact, that would be the most satisfaction. That would be the most satisfying thing ever if you're an England fan. To beat Germany on penalties would be amazing. But we don't want it to. We don't want it to get to that point. I see this being England going out there, giving Germany the ball, watching them probe, getting the goal, sitting back, and taking all the way to 90 minutes and winning the game 1-0. Now, the dilemma for Gareth Southgate is how does he set up? Does he go with the 4-3-3, which he would like which he's done for all these 3 games, and keep the same team that like he had against Czech Republic, or does he go like for like against Germany? And we've seen the problems Germany pose to Portugal with their fullbacks. But my thing is this with England is that why change in this situation? You've done so well. You've done so well with a 4-3-3. I understand, but all you have to do is just ask your fullbacks. I mean, ask your wingers. Yeah, that might push them back a little, but just ask them to track back a little bit. You also you also have 3 in midfield, and if you operate it right, you could do a thing where like out of possession, you go into a 3 at the back, and then in possession, you become a 4-3-3. There's so many things England can take into consideration there. But I just have a good feeling about England winning this one. So I have England winning 3. I have England winning 1-0.
1-0. James, I hate to say this, and maybe this is the final nail in the coffin for England losing on penalties. I've got England winning 2-1. Look, very rarely do the stars align. Okay, very, very rarely. Okay, England are playing at Wembley. England are playing at Wembley. We know what that means for any team, not just England, but we know what that means for an international team when they can play at home, and when the vast majority of the fans are going to be English people and English fans. I do think we're going to play 3 centre-backs. And I think that because it's happened somewhat recently, I think that we know about that. I do look at the fact that there's going to be a phone call placed to Frank Lampard going, hey, talk to me about Rudiger. Talk to me about Havertz. Talk to me about Timo Werner. Talk to me about how to play these guys. What's the best way to kind of nullify these guys and stop them playing? I look at the fact that England are good defensively. They are. Now, they've not been tested.
Whoa. They haven't been tested to get that right. But I feel it's different with Italy team. Italy, generationally, they've always been great.
No, and that's
defensively. But that's fine. Are you telling me Bonucci, Chiellini? Come on, Jack. You know the difference between what they are compared to this England team. First of all, how many times have Harry Maguire and John Stones let you down in big games?
Yeah, I mean that's fine, but let's be clear here. Bonucci is no better than Harry Maguire. Bonucci's not a good central defender. He's really not. He's needed Chiellini to hold his hand basically his whole career. And then when he left to go to Milan, he mess things up in a big way. So yeah, England are a good defensive team. I would play 3 centre-backs. I would. I want to make sure Kyle Walker is that right-sided centre-back for me personally. I do want Jordan Henderson back in that team. And I want Calvin Phillips and his work rate in there as well. James, I'm not going to lie to you. Leon Goretzka and Toni Kroos put the fear of God into me, and I'm not a religious man. So that'll tell you how that'll tell you how much I rate those midfielders, and they scare me. But they just seem a little bit toothless. Miroslav Klose in his prime, Lucas Podolski in his prime, Mario Gomez in his prime. I'm scared, and I don't think we win the game. But I think maybe Germany score early. But then I think there's 70, 80 minutes of England pressure at Wembley. Penalties, free kicks, set pieces, you name it. I think England eventually get it done, just get by against a Jogi Löw, who we think is going to be gone and probably won't.
No, don't you think this is officially
his last? Oh, of course, because Flick's taken over. This is. We'd argue probably the worst German team that we've seen in 10, 15 years across the board. And I just think that trying to nullify Joshua Kimmich and Robin Gosens is going to be the best bet. And I have England winning 2-1. It's one of the first times ever that I've actually looked at England against a team who I would say are better generally. But because of other things around the situation, I'm going to go, you know what? I think we got this. I think we got this. But James, like I said to you when we went live, it's not going to surprise me if we get blown out. It's not going to surprise me if we blow them out. England are done surprising me. I have no expectations of them anymore because they'll always end up surprising me.
Jack, this is the game. That and the Belgian game are the two games that I care about the most. But I can't wait for this knockout stage now. Us just doing the predictions of it right now. I'm excited, especially for England. There's a chance of a final there if they can get through the Germans, and it's not going to be an easy road. But damn, guys, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
if I'm not doing this, but if I gave you a free kind of clean slate to pick a team to win it, now that you know the path to the final, now that you know all of those things, would you be tempted to pick France? Would you be tempted to pick England or Germany? Would you be tempted to pick Italy? Or would you still stick with Belgium?
To me, it's between Belgium and France. That's like I still think the two best teams, they will meet in the semi-final if everything goes right.
Right.
I just still seeing them both. You know, if France get to it, maybe England can do something in the final if they do get to it. But we'll get to that when we cross that road. We got this last 16 stage, guys. If you have any opinions on anything that we've talked about today, Ronaldo, Ben White, can England go through? I can't remember all the things we've talked about.
We talked about the no away goals in the future for the Champions League, some transfers, a little nod to Cristiano Ronaldo, and we did our predictions. Guys, please, if you would like to play along, the correct result gets you a point. The correct score gets you a bonus point. James and I, we have some similar, but we do have some different as well. So I think it's going to be mainly settled on who gets the correct score. But James and I will do this until the end of the tournament. And if you want to play along, drop it in the comments. Show us that there's proof that you had it before the games happened.
Thank you for watching, guys. This is Box to Box Football. Please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate all the love from everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
See ya.